Welcome to Hurry Up Pinball, a show where I teach you how to work on your pinball machine. This tutorial will walk you through a more involved method to fix the VUK on Elvira's House of Horrors. So grab your tools and let's get going. In my first video regarding adjustments for Elvira's House of Horrors, I included a simple fix to help with issues related to the VUK. After spending some more time playing, I wasn't completely satisfied with the results and would see some variation when firing the ball. After doing some research online, several people indicated this was potentially related to the VUK coil plunger being flat and not scalloped. After making some adjustments to the coil plunger, I saw a vast improvement in the consistency of shots from the VUK. To begin, open the coin door, remove the lockdown bar, close the coin door, and remove the playfield glass. Since we will be raising the playfield, I like to use my cabinet protectors from Pinball Universe to avoid scratching the art blades. Now partially raise the playfield and remove the pinballs from the machine using the coil plunger. Now place a towel or blanket on the back box, then completely raise the playfield. Here is a look at the coil plunger and the mounting bracket for the VUK. Before we make any adjustments to the coil plunger, it's important to make sure that the coil plunger is centered in the mounting bracket hole for the VUK. You can bend the metal bracket slightly to help reposition it. Do this in small increments. My bracket only required a tiny bend to center the plunger in the mounting bracket hole. The arrow on the left is the bracket to bend if need be, and the arrow on the right is the hole in the mounting bracket in which the plunger should be centered. With the plunger centered in the mounting bracket hole, remove the two screws holding on the coil mount. Remove these screws and place them in a magnetic nut bowl for safekeeping. Now gently raise the coil and remove the coil plunger and spring. Remove the spring from the plunger and place the spring in a safe location. Here's a look at the tip of the coil plunger that strikes the ball and forces it out of the VUK. Since this is flat, it does not keep the ball centered when forcing it out of the VUK. This can lead to the ball banging around inside the housing and coming out of the VUK at different angles. To fix this, we will be using a small ball grinder to scallop the end of the plunger and help keep the ball centered in the VUK. If you are doing this fix and installed the red tape from my first tutorial as pictured in the beginning of this video, you can remove it as it is no longer needed. Here is a look at the ball grinder we will be using to scallop the head of the plunger. I purchased a bag of 10 for about $11 on Amazon and will link them in the video description. I purchased them with a 1/8 inch shank in order to use them with my Dremel. You can also use these with a standard drill. With the coil plunger in one hand and the Dremel in the other, turn on the Dremel and gently touch the tip of the plunger to the ball grinder. The plunger plastic is extremely hard, so you will not fly through the plastic with the grinder. Although I did not do it here, I would highly recommend wearing gloves during this process in case you slip. It is important to take your time and check frequently to make sure you start grinding in the center of the plunger and not on one side. If you start out a little off center, you will have time to fix this as you go. You just need to add a slight scallop to center the ball. You do not want to take off enough plastic to actually shorten the plunger. As you go, you may need to turn off the drill or Dremel and remove some plastic residue from the ball grinder. If there is a lot of residue, go ahead and switch to a new ball grinder. You want to make sure to leave a flat ring around the scallop section. This will ensure you do not remove any of the length from the plunger. With the plunger scalloped, grab a piece of medium to fine grit sandpaper and smooth out the end of the plunger. Here is what it should look like once complete. You can test this by placing a pinball on top of the plunger and it should stay put. With the adjustment made to the plunger, head back over to the pinball machine. Place the coil spring on the plunger and reinstall the plunger in the coil. Now reinstall the two screws holding on the coil mounting bracket. With the plunger reinstalled, go ahead and completely lower the playfield back into position. Remove the cabinet protectors if you use them, then reinstall the pinballs in order to test the VUK. Don't forget to remove the towel as well. With the pinball machine turned on, start a game and grab a pinball. Drop the pinball into the VUK and observe how it fires. I ended up turning the VUK power in the main menu back up to the factory default as I previously had it on 200. I was able to consistently hit the top 36 target. I have played about 30 games since this fix, and it consistently fires at the top target. Again, if you complete this fix, there is no need to place the red 3M tape in the VUK from my first video. You will also want to double check that your VUK plunger is centered in the mounting bracket hole by looking down the VUK from above. If everything looks good, reinstall the playfield glass, open the coin door, reinstall the lockdown bar, and close the coin door. Be sure to play a few test games to double check your work. This is Craig with Hurry Up Pinball, and I wanted to say thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, show your support for Hurry Up Pinball and click the subscribe button. We can also be found on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram under Hurry Up Pinball.